Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be another update on what's going on out here in the real world with me. I posted a video a couple of days ago about an event that took place with my family. They've discovered my YouTube channel, and ever since then it's been horrible. So this is fair warning to anybody else who's thinking about starting a channel. I know a lot of you have channels already and they're just as good as mine, and they're every bit is about the same type of subjects, and you may be not having this trouble yet. I think a lot of you were smart enough to start them under an assumed name like I did. My pseudonym is Henry Thoreau, and the channel is called Sustenance and Covering. I never revealed to anyone what my real name is. The only problem is that when you get, like when I got to the first 1 million viewers, I started getting contacts from radio stations and you know, the networks. And then again, when I hit 2 million viewers, same thing. And now I'm getting ready to hit 3 million, I guess probably at the beginning of next year. And when that happens, it's not like somebody has to physically type. Like when you first start your channel, in order for somebody to find you, they have to actually type the name of your channel in, because that's what it takes. But once you get so many views, then a person can be led to your channel with a simple search. Like if you have a video about potatoes, there may be 1 million videos about potatoes, but if your channel has a lot of hits, that's who they're going to send them to. And I also believe, and I think I'm right on this, but I don't know, I want to stick to the facts, and this may not be a fact, but if you have a really high viewer rate and you live in the same neighborhood as somebody, just based on the fact that you live in their neighborhood, your videos might come up. And I believe that's what's happened with me, and how my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were able to find my channel. But here's the events as they have taken place. My wife and I were sitting in our house watching TV, and we had a knock at the door, and it was a policeman. My wife says, "There's a policeman here, and he's specifically asking for you." So I go to the door, and my wife is looking like scared to death, and I'm actually scared to death, because I mean, if a policeman knocks on our door randomly to ask me what's going on with the neighbors or something, then that's bad enough, but he's asking about me, so I'm really scared. So he says, we've got a report of neglect of a mentally handicapped person that's at this household. And I'm not even able to process the information. You know, I mean, my wife is mentally handicapped, but that's supposed to be a family secret. Where, you know, my wife doesn't like me talking about it. She's always, that's one of her big things, don't tell anybody about my condition. And so, and I couldn't think of anybody anywhere that would talk about my wife like that, with the exception of my sister-in-law. So the policeman says, he asked me if I had a tent. And I said, yes. I said, is this person being kept in a tent? And I said, no, I sleep in the tent. My wife and I are the only ones in the house. I sleep in the tent, and my wife sleeps in the house. And he says, well, do you have air conditioning? And I said, well, yeah, we have air conditioning. We built the house with air conditioning. And he says, well, we were told that you didn't have air conditioning. I said, well, I don't use air conditioning, but we just don't like air conditioning. We don't like shutting our windows and our doors. So, you know, it would be pointless for us to have our house all wide open. And especially for me, I sit on the porch. You can't get air conditioning when you're sitting on the porch. And my wife doesn't like being separated from me. She stays in the house, but where my porch is connected to the room she's in. So she can hear everything I say. I can hear everything she says. It's just that we have a little bit of privacy so that I can read in peace or watch TV in peace. She can watch things she's interested in peace. And then, you know, then when we're watching the same thing, we both are in the same room. Either we both sit on the porch or we both sit in the house. But we always leave all the doors and windows open because that's what we like. At least I know that's what I like. And I did a video the other day while I was interviewing my wife, and we may post that on the internet too, where she's saying she doesn't want the door shut. She doesn't like that. So I'll probably put that up in a little while as well. So I told the officer, do you want to come in and see what, and my wife was there with me. It's not like he had to go in to see my wife, because she was standing right behind me the whole time, and she's saying, I'm not staying in the tent. And we had no idea what this was about or why anything like this would happen, because, like I said, I'm not processing the information. But when the police officer comes in, he says, there's nothing going on here. This is absolutely pointless. You two are doing very well. I don't see a problem. He gets on his little radio and he says, this is not anything like what it was described as. This is a married woman. She's a grown married woman, and her husband and her both don't have air conditioning, and it's just code 9. So in my mind, I want to find, if he's going to use code in front of me, I want to find out what that code is. So I go in the house and get on the internet and I type in police codes. And I got a list of them. There ain't that many, but it's like each code is some kind of a tactical code. In other words, they don't want the people that's there to know what's being said. So they'll say a code something and it means send backup immediately, or call off backup, or we need 2-car backup. But when you get to code 9, it simply means the summer uniform. Completely out of context with I mean, it has nothing to do with any of the other codes. Didn't make any sense to me, so I had to do a lot more research. And basically what I come up with is it's nothing. This is just like somebody calling in something that isn't real. They've found out that it isn't real, and it's case closed. So there wouldn't even be a report. The policeman did everything in his power to convince me that everything was okay and there would be no returns. No one is coming back to this house. I promise you, you will not receive another visit from social services or law enforcement or anything. Well, it only took a minute to figure out what was going on, because there's no other human on the earth that would know these things, and there's no other human I've ever met that is as evil as my sister-in-law. So I told my wife, I said, you know, this is your family. I know you don't want to believe it. Your family is doing this. And probably your sister's going to call you soon, and when she does, you really need to not let her know that this has happened, and don't say anything to her about us knowing it's her. Just act like everything's okay, because I really did. I wanted to try to get through this with as little drama as possible, so I didn't even want to have to confront them. Well, instantly, as soon as I finish saying that, the phone rings. I mean, just within a minute, and it is my sister-in-law, and I can hear my wife saying, no, I'm okay. No, I don't need that. No, I'm okay. No, I'm really okay. I'm just doing some chores. No, I'm okay. So my wife hangs up the phone rings again. No, he's not doing that. No, he's not doing that. No, he doesn't do stuff like that. And so she hung up, and I knew she was talking about me. I said, what in the world is she saying? And he said, well, she thinks that you're standing over me, making sure that I don't say anything. And I'm just trying to just get through this. I'm not even giving any input, because I don't like to try to control my wife. I want her to be able to make her own grown-up decisions of what to do. But the phone rings again, and the phone rings again, and the phone rings again. And within 24 hours, I'm getting really, really tired of it, because my wife every time my wife picks the phone up, she's on the phone explaining what I'm doing. It's like, these people, that's not their business what I'm doing. Why in the world would they be doing this? Well, this is the amazing thing about it. My wife and I have never had air conditioning in 30 years. We've always owned an air conditioner, because when you build a house, you want to make sure you have every possible convenience built in, so that you don't have to go back later and adjust things. So we've always put air conditioners in our house, but we've never used them. The only few times we've used them, the bill was so high that it just didn't make any sense, because I mean, we don't like being hot and we don't like being cold, but it's not like we hate being hot and being cold so much that we're willing to spend all of our resources on making ourselves not be hot or not be cold. And we do make sure that we have a level of comfort. I mean, in the winter when it gets really, really cold, we do go in and shut the doors and turn on a space heater, but that's very, very rare. And with the summer, we are in a heat wave where they're doing heat advisory warnings right now. And the other day I looked at it, and it's like one of the worst days. It was 91 degrees. Well, that 91 degrees is bad, but we've had triple digits in the past, and we got through that with, we didn't like it, but we got through it. And so it just didn't make any sense that out of the blue, my sister-in-law would call the police instead of just calling and saying, hey, are you keeping cool over there? They never even did any of that. It was just like they were afraid that if they called and said something that I might take some kind of actions that would keep them from being able to call the police. They wanted the police to walk in and see me in the heat. They didn't want me to, you know, risk me turning the air conditioner on and sending the police over and then not having anything on me, as if somehow not having air conditioning is against the law. But they told the police that my wife had a medical condition that made it hard for her to breathe. And I knew that was a lie, because I mean, I'm the one that takes my wife to the doctor. She can't drive, and I always talk to the doctor, and the doctor never said anything to me about her having a breathing problem. So I asked my wife why her, because I thought maybe my wife had just maybe told her sister, I can't breathe. And she said, no, when I was a baby I had asthma. I said, well, do you still have asthma? And she said no. And so it's like, I think there is something. I didn't do any research on it because it's just not important to me. I've been with the same woman for 30 years. I've never seen her have a breathing problem, and she's never brought up anything about asthma. The doctor's never said anything about asthma. So I knew that was baloney. Well, after 24 hours of getting called constantly, my wife said, I don't want to talk to her. Can you talk to her? I said, no, just be firm with her and tell her I want this to stop. You can't keep doing this to me, and she'll stop. Which, looking back at it, no, she wouldn't stop, because my wife had been telling her all along, I'm okay, I don't need that. I'm okay, I don't need that. And she just kept on and kept on and kept on, trying to get something on me. And I don't know why, or I didn't know why at the time. But that's 24 hours later, I told my wife, I said, if I pick up this phone, it's not going to be good, because I am really, really angry, and I'm not going to talk to her nice. And I didn't. I picked up the phone and I just said, look, you, and I started hollering at her and telling her that if you know, this is very transparent. You are not concerned about your sister's health. Otherwise, if you were truly worried about your sister's health, instead of attempting to have her husband arrested and lose thousands of dollars in the legal system, you would simply give your sister $275 a month for the 3 months of summer so that we could have air conditioning. Because back when we did an experiment years ago where we ran air conditioner for a solid month, and that's about how much it cost extra. Probably now it would be even more than that. And for rich people, that's not a big deal. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are very rich. They live in an exclusive neighborhood. They always have very, very nice vehicles that get very poor fuel economy but impress the neighbors. They golf all the time, and you know, they live that lifestyle. But she never once responded to that. She never said, well, you know what, I love my sister very much, and if you promise me to turn on the air conditioner. She didn't say anything like that. She didn't say anything. I'm listening. She didn't respond, so I hung up, and the phone rings again. And my wife says, I don't want to pick this phone up. So, well, you don't have to. But as soon as they left a message, you know, we're just like everybody else. We took the phone, called the voicemail, and it says, we're so scared for you. You're not answering the phone. We don't know what to do. We know that your husband has a gun, and we really, really don't want to call the police. But if we don't hear from you, we're going to call the police and tell them what's going on at your house. Well, they don't have any idea what's going on in my house. But I started thinking, you know, these people are really proving themselves to be very, very evil, which I already kind of knew they were. I thought, well, I better do a preemptive strike. So I called 911. I said, look, here's my name, this is my address, and I don't know that you've gotten any calls about me or that you're going to get any calls about me, but there is some concern because my sister-in-law just called and said she's going to report to you that they're worried about their sister and that I have a gun. And I promise you, I don't have a gun. I do own guns, but I didn't have one on me. And I said, if it's necessary, I'll take all my clothes off and walk backwards with my hands over the air all the way to the police station, because the police station's like a mile away by the roads, and I'm not approved, so I'm not worried about it. Oh, no, sir, we won't have a problem with that. If there's a problem, we'll contact you. Okay, well, what contact means is about 30 minutes later, I heard the officer wrestling with the gate, because in the gate, above my gate is a big bell. And when you shake the gate, it rings. And I heard that bell ringing, so I knew it was the cops. I went out there with my hands up. I'm compliant. I knew this was coming. I already called 911 and told them, and my wife came out with me and she said, "We are not doing anything wrong. Please leave us alone." It was just one cop, but I could sense there were people around me, and as soon as my eyes adjusted, sure enough, there were police surrounding me. And it was 2 cars, 4 policemen, police officers. So that's the second time they called. And, you know, now it's getting really, really bad. We're really, really worried about why in the world these people are doing this to us. Well, about a year and a half ago, I posted a video series. I do a lot of Bible videos. Now, I've always tried to maintain my anonymity because I know that people get upset when they hear me talk about the end of civilization and other topics that are on my channel, like how to store food and how to acquire food off of the land. I mean, it doesn't seem like something that would bother anybody, but if you're like me and you're talking to people about the things I'm talking about, you know the reaction you get from an average citizen. They really, really get enraged when somebody shows even a hint of, or lack of belief that the world is going to go on like this forever, that, you know, the empire can never fall, but in their hearts they know it is, and so when somebody confirms it vocally, it makes them scared. So I got this comment from somebody I don't know saying, I've got a lot of subscribers, and they knew that I had a lot of subscribers. They said, "I can't believe so many people are stupid enough to listen to the crap that spews from your mouth." And so when you get a whole bunch of positive responses to the things you're doing and you get a couple of bad ones, you really are more curious about the bad ones than the good ones, because those are the ones that shake you up. They stand out. So I went and looked at this channel, and every video on the channel, I couldn't really figure out who it was, but every video on the channel was my nephew. So I knew it was my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's channel. In fact, I knew in my heart that it was my sister-in-law, and I say that, but really it is my brother-in-law's channel. So he's the one that probably has to be held accountable for the comment. And it was his name, but I was unfamiliar with his name. I know him by his, I guess it's his middle name or his nickname, and I never knew that his other name. I had heard it before, but it just didn't click. So I didn't want to say anything to anybody. I didn't say anything to my wife. Didn't say anything to my mom. I didn't say anything to anybody because, first off, I don't want anybody knowing about my channel. I don't want to talk about my channel with anybody, and I don't want my wife and my mom to be upset because my mom knows these people. And but I went and saw, my mom owns a boarding kennel where she keeps dogs and cats for people when they go on trips. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law generally go on a golf tournament, I don't know, every now and then, maybe once every month or every 3 months. And so they keep their dogs at my mom's kennel. And one day I'm over there and my mom says, "Wow, what did you do to make your brother-in-law so angry?" And I said, I haven't seen him in months. Well, he just went on and on about how disgusting it was that what you get away with on your YouTube channel. And at that point I said, "Well, let me tell you something. I did get a very bad message from him." What did he say? He says, "Well," he said, "it's unfair that you have so many viewers and yet his son, who has actual talent, has no viewers," which isn't true. My nephew is extremely talented, and even though he doesn't get a lot of views, everybody recognizes his talent in different ways. I mean, he's making a living doing what he does. He's a very good musician, and he's an artist, and he's known internationally, and that's not an exaggeration, but it's just that his YouTube channel isn't going anywhere. But I think it could be if he was to actually put as much effort into his YouTube channel as he does into his other endeavors. It would. I mean, he's got a radio show he does. He just doesn't have time like I do to make my channel what it is. So that is the story as it stands. Well, not really. When I posted the video, one of the very first things that come up was a thumbs down. Now, the video did about 600 views while it was up. It was up for, I don't know if it was 12 hours or 24 hours, but it got 600 views, and that's pretty good. There's not many people that can do that, you know, unless you're in the media, like a very famous rock star or something. But, and I'm not saying that a rock star will get 600 views an hour. A rock star can get like 1 million views in a minute. But anyway, 1 thumbs down and 80 thumbs up and 100 comments. And so there's a really big airplane. So I kind of had a feeling that they, since I got a thumbs down and there was really nothing negative in the whole video, unless you happen to be one of 2 people on this planet, it was pretty easy to figure out that they had seen the video. But I didn't say anything, I didn't take it down, I just left it there. And I guess the next day, I went to the police department to fill out a report, and while I was there, the phone rang. And I just looked at it, and I turned off the ringer and put it back, and a policeman's like, well, you know, I said, I brought that in here because I felt like it might be important, because there's messages on my phone, and there's from these people that are harassing me. And so the phone rang again, and this time it wasn't my sister-in-law, it was my brother-in-law, and the policeman said, let me have the phone. And I gave it to him, and I don't know what he did wrong, but when he opened the phone up, he said, hello, hello. No, he said, the police department, what do you want? And there was no answer. He said, I may have pressed the wrong button. I said, well, you may have hung up. And he goes, no, I think I pressed the wrong button. Well, sure enough, a few minutes later it beeped, and it was a message. And the phone's, I said, asked the officer if he wanted to listen to the message. I said, I don't even have to listen to it. I know who it's from, just so that you don't think I'm, you know, going through and screening what I'm giving you. Do you want to listen to this? So he took it and he listened to it. And he goes, oh, this is just your brother-in-law is concerned about his sister-in-law. That's all. And he says, well, he's listening to it, and he's listening to it, and he's listening to it. And I didn't know what he was listening to. But when I left, he said, you know what, if we do this, this isn't a game. I am a by-the-books guy. If you file charges, we are going to court, and you're going to show up for court. You show up and you say, I'm not willing to testify, then I'm taking you to court. And I said, look, I'm not trying, I just want to make a written record of what's going on. And so I got in a car, but I said, we'll just skip that, you know. And this is my record right now, because they've got this thing, standard YouTube license. You post this, it pretty much marks that this video was made on this day, and it's real, and it's my property, or whatever. So I get in the car, and I'm listening to this message on the way home. It's a really, really long message about, we really want to take you out to eat with us, but we can only take her because you're so disgusting looking, and you're so dirty, and you're so stinky, and your hair is so greasy, and we don't want our sister to be embarrassed that she has to be, you know, people have to see what her husband looks like in public. You know, it's that kind of stuff. I mean, it started off nice, like, oh, please get air conditioning. We don't want our sister to die. And one of the things the officer said to me, says, you know, you really should have air conditioning. He says, what medical conditions does your wife have? And I said, well, she's been on thyroid since she was born. She has to take a thyroid pill, and she's got to take cholesterol medicine. And he says, yeah, but I mean serious. What serious? I said, I don't know of any serious conditions. I'm the one that takes her to doctors. You know, doctor never said anything about serious conditions. Says, well, does she have cancer? I said, no, she doesn't have anything like that. So one of the things it said on the video, on the thing, was that my wife has a breathing condition. So I guess that's what the officer was thinking, that maybe she was suffering from something serious because she couldn't breathe. And the wife has no problem with breathing as far as she knows, and she would be the one to know. So anyway, one of the messages, the one from my sister-in-law, was a critique of all the lies I told in that video. So we're going to kind of address that right now. Okay, for the first thing, it says, she said that she has never, ever left a bad comment on my YouTube channel. And I knew I had seen it. Just recently I saw it when I was scrolling through my stuff. And so I went to YouTube messages, and they have a little search bar at the top, and I put my brother-in-law's name up there. And it came up and it said, I don't know, no results, or no messages, or something like that. So it wasn't there, which I guess is, if you delete something, that's what you'll get. It won't give you a deleted message. So I went into my Gmail, because I still have all my Gmail stuff, and I found the original message, because I never deleted it. and it said reply to this message. So I clicked on the reply to this message, and it brought me to a YouTube page that said null. And I don't know if you have a YouTube page. I've seen that before. I really didn't know what it meant, but it's N-U-L-L. And it just means that the comment has been deleted. But it's, I mean, it's not a big deal, because they have a thing, I know they have a law that all social media has to keep records of every comment made because of it's cyberbullying. So that's a law. They have to keep that. And it's not just like for judges and police and lawyers. The average person can go file, from what I understand, is called a file for discovery with Google. And if you can get a judge or whatever to sign off on this file for discovery, and basically they can't deny it if you make a claim of something that's serious, that they have to give you any records you request. So that's not a real issue. And it's already in my Gmail. I don't even think I would have to go into somebody's YouTube account, because it's in my Gmail account. So anyways, that lie is pretty easy to overthrow. On my brother-in-law's message, he said, you're living in a fantasy world. You are not a survivalist. You are not a prepper. You are not, you don't know anything about the Bible. Now, I don't know what his definition of those things would be, but if you watch my videos, then you probably understand that I know more about the Bible than any other person alive. And as far as being a survivalist or a prepper, I've pretty much meet the criteria for any of that, with the exception of I'm not actively a survivalist or prepper. I don't believe you need to do that. I think you need to hone your skills every now and then, but you know, I mean, different aspects of survival. Prepper is very bad, like killing animals. I hate killing animals. I always hated killing animals. I felt like before I could start making videos, I needed to trap and kill one of every kind of animal on my property, and I think I've done that. And I ate all of them. And a lot of the things I ate are things that they say you cannot eat. So I don't see that after I've killed, you know, 30 or 40 squirrels that I need to kill another 30 or 40. I know how to kill a squirrel. I know how to pull the skin off of it, and I know how to cook it. It's not a big deal for me. You don't go fishing. Well, that's true. Because first off, I don't believe that fishing is a survivalist skill unless you're fishing with a net. Because if you're out there with a pole, you got to have access to bait, and you're going to be sitting there all day. My whole theory about prepping or survivalism is in, out, nobody gets hurt. You don't want to be out there in the public. You know, the oceans is a half mile or a mile from my house. If there's a really, really bad situation where people are struggling for food, I want to get out there, make 1 or 2 casts with my net, put everything in a bucket, and run home. I don't want to be sitting at the pier for 6 hours trying to catch a fish. And I can do that. But there are several things keeping me from doing that. Because I don't like killing fish, but I enjoy eating fish, and I enjoy this how easy it is. It's not like hunting or trapping. You can throw a net one time and catch 100 full-size fish, and that is a fact. And that's not rare. I mean, it's rare, but it ain't that rare. You'll do that about once a year if you're throwing on a regular basis. But we have these advisories here for a flesh-eating bacteria for anybody with a compromised immune system. I really don't think I'm that compromised, but I do have diabetes, which is one of the things on the list. And it also says you don't want to go in the water if you have any sores or cuts or wounds of any kind anywhere on your body. Well, guess what? I live out here in the stickers, and my body is covered with ant bites and sticker scratches. And you don't have to even go in the water. If you're in, I had a man come and repair my well a while back, and he fishes with a net at least every week, probably 3 or 4 times a week. And he says that he got flesh-eating bacteria. And I said, well, you can't go in that water. He said, I didn't go in the water. I was fishing off of a bridge. Just from pulling the net in, he got flesh-eating bacteria on his arm. So it's real, and it is bad. And you know what? Fish are cheap. And you can throw a net on land or in the water, and I can throw a net. I can't throw it very good. I'm probably one of the worst net throwers in the world, but the worst net thrower in the world will catch fish. And I have caught fish. I've gone down there, and in one cast, I brought up 100 fish. Of course, the fish I brought up were pogies, about that big, but I made a video a while back about eating pogies. Nobody eats pogies that I know of except me. I think that's a survivalist skill. And fruit trees. Fruit trees will never, that's one of the comments. You're living in a fantasy, fruit trees will never. I just realized that I've got a 2 gig card in my camera, and it's supposed to have a 32 gig card, so and I can't find my 32 gig card, so we're gonna have to do some segments. Anyways, I think I left off with my brother-in-law saying I'm not a survivalist or a prepper or whatever, and one of his comments was, if I think that I'm going to be able to use my fruit trees for survival, that's a fantasy. I don't understand what the reason for that statement was. Food is food. Now, in the past, I haven't gotten much food off my trees because the animals were eating it all. You know, this year I've got a problem with a bobcat. He's pretty much wiped out most of my wildlife, and so we are getting some fruit. I mean, all our trees are small. Like, let's see, there's one right there. I guess you can see that. It's a Japanese plum. I hope you can see that. And I'm not even gonna do this. There's a pomegranate right there. There's a pawpaw. There's a big orange tree and a little citrus tree over there. I don't know what that is. There's a pear tree that's dead. But I've got plenty of fruit trees around here, and they're in the woods, and a lot of them aren't producing fruit, but the ones that are producing good. I picked 12 gallons of figs this year, and you know, figs, you can dry them. I don't know how I would handle drying that much fruit at one time, but I'm sure, you know, I've got a tin roof on the house. I probably could get up there and just line the roof with figs. But it's not, I mean, that's just a silly statement. I don't know, and they say they never attack my YouTube channel, but I've got most of the messages I'm getting on my phone are attacks against the things I talk about on my YouTube channel. And every time I've seen them, since the day they found my YouTube channel, it's like every time I see them, they don't specifically attack my fruit tree channel or my YouTube channel, but they'll attack survivalism in general, or they'll attack my belief that the two-party system isn't real, or they'll attack my Bible beliefs. So they really are attacking my YouTube channel, because I'm not even giving them any of that. I'm just going over and saying, hey, how are y'all doing? And they just go into these discussions about how everything I say is a lie or incorrect. Okay, here's another thing that I need to address about this video. In the video, I said that my wife suffered from mental illness, and she suffers from a learning disability, and that nobody ever talks about it, and that she could probably qualify for some kind of assistance. Well, when I said that, I was saying that based on the fact that I didn't want to talk about it in any kind of way that would embarrass my wife, because she's always said she doesn't want anybody talking about it. But the other day, when I was talking to my wife in front of a camera, she said to me that she didn't have a problem talking about it. And when the police came up and they said, do you have a mentally handicapped person in your house, she specifically told the officer, yes, I do. I'm not going to lie about it. And it's just, this is a very uncomfortable thing for me. And but she gave me permission to talk about it. So honestly, it's not that my wife might qualify for benefits. She's already in the system. She's not getting anything because she's married to me. When you're in the system for SSI, which is for somebody who's never worked enough to be in the regular Social Security disability system, SSI, and I know a lot of my subscribers know about this because they're in the system, but my wife is diagnosed as schizophrenic. And that's the reason I was able to find out she was diagnosed as schizophrenic, is when I went through my own case and was filing papers, they had me talk to different advisors, and one of them said, do you need assistance with your wife's schizophrenia? That's the first I ever heard of it. I mean, I knew that my wife was schizophrenic just from what I could see, but it had never been diagnosed. But apparently when she was living with her sister that's trying to get her right now, she was in the system. At least she's there where all I got to do is press the button. See, when I first got on Social Security, I was advised by several people to divorce my wife legally and charge her rent and get receipts, or give her receipts every month and take her check. And that little loophole allows us to get my wife's SSI. And so I asked my wife if we could do that. Can we just get a divorce, just keep living in the house, I charge you rent, and we double our income? And she said, okay. But I also know that my wife is diagnosed schizophrenic, and I've, over the years, figured out the pattern to what makes her go into episodes. If I was to divorce my wife, it would be catastrophic. I can tell you that. So, oh, and now this is just something that I feel like it comes up over and over again. When the police come here, they say, why do you sleep in a tent? And I give them some kind of reason. And I've got a lot of reasons for sleeping in a tent. You know, if you've ever watched my thing about why I sleep on the porch, a lot of this has to do with the veterans. You know, you take these young children and you send them overseas to kill somebody else's children, and then you bring them back and they're all messed up, and you give them a sleeping bag and tell them to have a nice life. Well, because of the amount of homeless veterans in this country, I feel it would be wrong for me to sleep indoors. But that's just a very small part of it. Another part of it is that I just like sleeping outdoors. But when I first got married, about 3 weeks after I got married, I realized that something was seriously wrong with my wife. And I actually asked her for a divorce back then, because it wasn't just that she had a learning disability. There was obviously something else wrong. And so there were days when I would have to get in the car, because I'd have to go to work all day, work 2 jobs sometimes, and then come home and only get 4 hours to sleep. And she would try to keep me awake for the whole 4 hours with these crazy rants. So I would drive around the corner and sleep in the car. What I've discovered over the years is you have to be consistent. You can't just like try to figure out when she's going to have an episode and sleep away, and then on the day she's not going to have an episode, sleep with her. You have to consistently sleep away. And I mean, I know that sounds harsh, and yes, it's true, that is not a conventional marriage, but when I look around at people in this world, I don't think anybody really has the conventional marriage that we think is a conventional marriage. And here, now these are theories of mine that I probably shouldn't even put on here, because I'm not a registered medical expert, but I really believe that we're all schizophrenic. Now, some people might just be a teeny tiny little bit of schizophrenic, and some people are just out of control schizophrenic, and the only difference between the two is that one gets a box of lithium and the other one gets a lucrative career. Now, I have figured out a bunch of other things about schizophrenia, but you know, it's like it's one of those things that, since the doctors don't really know, but they say they know, I, not being a doctor, don't need to discuss those things with anybody. Yeah, we don't have a conventional marriage, and it is odd that one person sleeps in the tent and another person sleeps in the house, but just understand that this is the best possible solution. Well, I said that me and my wife had made a few videos already, and both times my camera's acting up, and I think a lot of it is because we got that 2 gig card in it. But we've already tried several times to make these videos, and I think we're going to have to, we can't just leave it cut off where it cut off yesterday. We'll probably sit in front of the camera again today and try to finish this thing up, and I'll get that posted. I'm sorry that this is turning into the family drama channel, but I think I need to keep a record of this. And also, this is almost like a way of communicating with my family. I can't pick up the phone because they're out of control, unreasonable, and they're not going to listen to anything that my wife says. They're not going to listen to anything I say. But posting a video, I think, is a little bit better solution. It's out there, and if they want to listen to it, it's there. And if they don't want to listen to it, that's fine too. But this has made my wife very upset. Just now, when the film stopped and I had to take my card in and go put the video on my computer, when I walked up, my wife was running from room to room, talking to herself very loud. It's very sad, very angry, very paranoid. And it's not that that's unusual. Usually she has an episode, maybe. And if you have a family member with schizophrenia, you know it's not that they are all of the time paranoid and sad and angry. There are times when they just have what I call episodes, when they do what's called acting out. And you can really actually, just like I do with the tent, you can actually control a lot of that by keeping a steady system that they can depend on and not introducing them to anything that will shock them. Well, this is so shocking to my wife that she has been basically out of control for 4 days. And for me, the only thing I can do is sit next to her and watch TV and just keep talking to her so that she doesn't do this. But I can't do that all the time. So the minute I come out, she goes back into this thing that she's doing. Well, anyway, I think that's there. I'll probably end up having to do more and more and more of this stuff. Hopefully it'll just go away and I can get back to making Bible videos and fruit tree videos and chicken videos, net making videos. Let this be a warning to you. If you've got a YouTube channel and your family finds out about it, they are going to absolutely hate you. But I am so, this is something I said in the last video, going from being the village idiot to being someone who is sought out for their wisdom is a really huge step. I would not change a thing. I mean, maybe I would tweak it if I could go back in time, and I don't know. I don't really know how I could make it any more difficult to find my channel, and probably things will work out the same way every time, so it's not even worth talking about. But I would not trade becoming sustenance and covering for anything in the world. Nobody wants to just be always thinking that they're worthless. And if you can't make videos, you know, honestly, you feel free to contact me. I actually try to respond to everybody that leaves a comment, but just know, be warned that if you have a YouTube channel like this, there are going to be things that are going to be negative. You just have to learn how to live with them. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.